My name is Sadie Holzmeyer, and I lead the Florida chapter for Digital Democracy Project and do a lot of the outreach for Digital Democracy Project. So I will give you guys the overview. Tiffany, are you very familiar with us at all? Just curious to get an idea.
Only a little bit from Therese Wakefield Gamble.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to say no, I'm not, but I'm
Okay.
real excited to learn. Thank you.
Good to hear. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I'll give you guys both the full overview. So, we are a nonpartisan nonprofit, and overall, we're building a voter driven system of government, putting more power in the hands of voters. So, voters get a chance to weigh in on legislation. They say if they support or oppose, and then we're illustrating all the results. So, everyone, the voters, legislators, the media, everyone knows what the voters want. And there's a verified system for the voters to weigh in. And then we evaluate our legislators with scorecards comparing how their votes matched how the voters had voted so voters can hold them accountable. So that's a quick overview, and I'll play this explainer video that'll give more details, and then I'll show you guys the different resources on our website. I'll show you how to get into the app so you can add your votes in, and then we'll dig through all of the bills we've carried for 2026 that are coming up. All right.
Ever wish you could tell your legislators exactly how to vote? Well, now you can. And it's right in the palm of your hands. Introducing the Digital Democracy Project, a mobile voting app and online tracking system, connecting you to the process, giving you the power. You vote on pending bills, on issues that affect us all, every day, telling legislators how you want them to vote. There's no party politics, no big money, and no special interests. We only compare what voters want to what legislators actually deliver, and everybody can see it. Your representatives, the media, everybody, all from your phone. Plus, it's absolutely free. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You vote on the same bills as your representatives. We track it online in real time, a running tally. Then we take score. We add up every vote on every issue and we post it. You can see if they have voted with or against the majority. And come election time, now you know the score. It's powered by blockchain technology, keeping you secure. And with ID verification, it guarantees that all votes are real votes by real human voters. And don't worry, we never store, share, or monetize your data. And we never will. We're just putting the power where it belongs, right in your hands. So join us. We have the technology. You have the power. The Digital Democracy Project. This is what democracy looks like.
All right. And then how it works too. So voters, they get verified, they add their votes in typically through the Votes mobile voting app. We partner with Votes, and they can also submit their votes through the Votes web app, and then everything gets relayed to this website, so everyone's able to see it. So I'll start with the website. So this is on our tally page. This is our tally map where you can see all the live bills that voters are voting on and then all the updating results. So we started carrying bills back in February. And then, there's about 5 or 6 bills in each set. So I think we're up to about 70 bills for 2025. And then for each of these bills, I'll show you the overview. We'll provide a summary of the bill, and then the pie charts will show the breakdown for how many voters support and oppose, the percentages, and then for each state and for the country overall. And then we'll zoom in on Florida here in a second, but it'll break it down to each district too. And then I'll go ahead and show you the links here. You'll see connected to the Florida bills as well. The Open States Plural link will show like the status of the bill, if there's any sponsors, co-sponsors. So yeah, I'll pull some of these up through when we review the bills too. And then You can read the full bill text, and Kialo you'll see for each of the bills as well. That'll provide pros and cons about the bill. And then this is also where individuals like yourselves can get in here and add in your own pros and cons, kind of make it more of a discussion. And if you guys, in addition to putting like a yes or no, if you support the bill or not, this is where you can kind of elaborate on like why you support or why you don't, more of a subjective description on that, and providing like more reasoning. So that's this is the overview for the federal bills. And I should also provide some background too. So we went live, we started statewide in Florida in 2023 and just carried state bills for Florida. So the 60-day session and then any special sessions for any Florida voter to weigh in on. And then, one second, let me make sure I admit this individual. Hello, John. Thanks for joining. All right, I'm going to jump back in it. So we went live in 2023, and then in 2024, we added in federal bills. And then 2025, we officially launched nationwide to where any U.S. voter can vote on federal bills. And then we'll continue doing state bills for Florida. And then we're actually adding in more states starting in 2026. It looks like Virginia and Washington. So let me go ahead and zoom in on Florida. So you can also see the breakdown for Florida for all the federal bills. And then today we'll focus a lot on the state level bills. And then I'll finish this overview and then we'll jump more into the details of the specific bills. But yeah, this is where like our organizations focus on getting more voters weighing in. For one, staying informed and engaged on what's going on. And then the more voters that weigh in, the more they participate. That's kind of where we can put pressure on our legislators and influence how they decide to vote. So that's where the voters get more power. So yeah, that's something we're always working on, getting voters across the state and now across the country. And then we do also, you'll see too, we try to prioritize bills that look like they're going to advance or coming up for votes in different chambers. So we want to make sure we put those in the app so that voters get a chance to weigh in. But we do also like to highlight bills that, especially if like organizations, if they're concerned about or advocating for bills, if they'd like us to, we'll try to make a point to put those into the app too, to kind of help spread the awareness and give them a chance to weigh in. So yeah, you'll see a lot of variety of bills, and we don't focus on any particular issue or topic. We try to cover a lot of the high profile ones. And then the scorecards. So you can see kind of a breakdown for the scorecards for each of the legislators. And right now we only have the Florida legislators in there at the state and federal level. We're kind of waiting until we get more votes from voters across the country, and then we'll release scorecards for all members of Congress and U.S. senators early next year. And then for each scorecard, and I should say too, the Florida ones will keep updating, so they're kind of cumulative, so you can see their vote results and comparisons on previous bills too for previous sessions. But for each scorecard, for each of the bills, you'll see the first column is relaying how the voters overall had voted. And these scorecards will get updated too when we post our new ones, so it'll have some more details. So if the majority of the voters oppose the bill, you'll see a thumbs down. If they supported, a thumbs up. And then the middle column is how that legislator actually voted on the bill on the floor. So you can go through and review their voting record if you'd like. And then for each of these bills, we're doing a comparison of what the voters wanted in this column to how the legislator ended up voting, and then just illustrating how often they're matching. So if they match what the voters want, they get a thumbs up. If it doesn't match, it's a thumbs down. And then that proportion is where the score comes from, how often they're matching. So we want to kind of illustrate which legislators are doing the best job of representing what their voters want and listening to their voters. And then this will be used more so, or comes into use especially at election time when voters are deciding if they want to reelect this legislator or consider voting for someone else. So yeah, that'll be a resource. This is where the voters get to hold legislators accountable. And our organization, too, something we like to kind of make a point about, we're not evaluating the legislators, we're just providing the technology for voters to evaluate legislators. So it's just getting compared to how the voters, how they're voting on the bills. And then I'll bring up to another feature on here is our bills scorecard. So this is kind of where you can see all the bills we've carried since we started, and it'll provide an overview for each of the bill. So John had brought up about 1205. So let me pull that one up for an example. So this was one of the bills we carried last year, and I'll just highlight this one since it has more details since it's advanced from last year. So for each of these bills, we'll provide that summary, that same summary, and then that's the link to be able to vote on the bill through the Votes web app. And then you can see the bill text, and then the bill status is that same open states plural. So you can see like in the corner here, it was signed by the governor, the date, and then all the sponsors, co-sponsors, and then this will tell you kind of the history, the vote results. And for these two, you should be able to go in and see, yeah, like 28 voted yes, 9 representatives voted no. And then it'll tell you all the like breakdown for who voted which ways. And then, yeah, it'll also have the different actions back here too. So lots of details from open states for each of the bills. And then the Kialo again, this is where, yeah, we had more people weighing in here, more so on the con side for this bill. But yeah, that's where those will show up for the bills on the bills view page. And then one of our newest features is where we kind of worked with someone at the League of Women Voters because they do a similar thing for their Vote 411 with impact statements. So you can kind of get more info about like why organizations may support a bill, why they may oppose it, and then more info about like what a yes vote means for supporting the bill, what a no vote means. And then we added this feature where we'll display different stances that organizations take on different bills to give more info about those, about like who's behind the bill, who's supporting it. And then for each of these bills, I'll see if it's updated for these. Yeah, we just, one of our more recent features just added to where we can provide more info about the organizations that have taken a stance. So like about them, the policy goals, funding, affiliates, legal structure. And then we're working on updating to where you'll be able to see all the stances that that organization has taken on a bill too. And then it'll link to their website. So if you want to look more into them, that's an option too. So we'll be working on getting more more organizations kind of weighing in that way, showing their stances and getting their members to vote on the bill too. And then on the map here too is where you can break it down to the state level districts for state house, state senate. And so a legislator can come on here at any time and see like what voters in their district want. And yeah, you can tell we're definitely working on getting more voters in each district across the state. So if you know people in your area or your organization, if you'd like for them to start weighing in, we definitely appreciate help spreading the word, getting more voters. And then down here is where the scorecard for the bills are a little different. So the first column will relay how the voters in that district had voted, and the middle column is how that legislator had voted. So it's just comparing how the voters in the district, not the overall state, how they compared to their representative and how often it's matching. And so you can see all those for every member of the House and the state Senate. And then how often the legislators' votes matched how their voters in their district voted is where this score comes from. So yeah, this one was about 36% of how often the legislators' votes matched what their voters, how the voters had voted for this bill. So that's the overview for 1205 to kind of show you what it'll look like after the bills have advanced. And then I'll mention some other features real quick. We'll get into the Votes app, and then we'll go through some of the bills and Yeah, Joan, if you want to help me out, keep an eye on the chat if someone has questions. I mentioned too, yeah, you guys can hop off mute, but yeah, you can drop them in the chat or I'll give you some time for questions too here in a minute. And then another feature on here, we do some outreach to candidates and legislators. We want to identify those that want to use our resources as a way to hear from their voters and kind of align with our mission of representing what voters want. So yeah, I know Tiffany, you had mentioned Therese. She's one of our candidates running for State House that has supported Digital Democracy Project. And yeah, Anna Escamani is another one on here. John, you had brought up, or Tiffany, one of you. And then some of the other legislators that are currently serving, like State Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith, Rep. Kelly Skidmore, and Rep. Rita Harris. And then Tom Keene was our first political endorsement, kind of led the way for others to get on board behind. And then, yeah, I know Jennifer Adams is running for Congress, Barbie Hardenhall's running, and Dan Williams is running for Congress, and then Oliver's running for Congress, and Luis Davila. So yeah, there's lots of candidates, and if you guys even know candidates, legislators who might be interested, we want to kind of highlight the ones for voters that want to hear from them. And then we'll also do a lot of interviews with candidates, legislators, organizations to kind of give them a chance to communicate to voters like why they're running, why this Digital Democracy Project, how that would be helpful for them. So, and John on the call, John Nelson, he's on our team. He does a lot of our interviews. And then there's a lot of other media things in here. Nimit Sani is the CEO of Votes, so you can see or hear like an interview from him, and then other articles and lots of good stuff on here. And then our founder also did a TEDx talk. So if you want to check that out, kind of hear from him about his inspiration for starting Digital Democracy Project, it's pretty good. And those are kind of the main features on our website. And so I'll jump over to the vote page. And yeah, I'll jump into this and then pause for questions too. So for voters to weigh in, right now any US voter can vote, and Florida voters have that access to vote on the Florida bills as in addition to the federal bills. So the app is called Voatz, VOATZ, and you can go to the App Store, or if you go, let me drop this page in here in the chat. So you can either go through this link, and then these little App Store, Google Play links will take you straight to the app in the App Store if you're on your phone. So yeah, you can download the Voatz app, and it'll have you walk you through the process to get verified. And let me pull this back up. And the Voatz app, so some background about them. They're certified mobile voting technology. They've been used in lots of elections across the country and different countries even too. So they started for service members overseas to be able to vote from their phone, people with disabilities. So we partnered with them to provide the technology for the voter verification for voters to submit their votes, and then we'll update everything on our website. But we partner with them also because they've been tested out, they're trusted technology, and because we require a voter verification, and we get asked a lot about that. So the reason we do the voter verification is so, for one, we know these are real people, real voters, and that way it carries more weight with legislators. So we know there's not like any bots, there aren't people voting multiple times, and it also protects from bad actors if someone were to try to like hack the results or like skew the results to show something that doesn't reflect what the public wants. That's why we have the verification requirement. And then that also helps us pinpoint the results into the district that the voters are verified in. So it is like a one-time verification sign-up process. And then once you get in there, you're able to vote on all the 70 or so federal bills. And then I think we're up to about 16 Florida state bills. And then for Florida voters, it'll be about every week that you'll see new bills, either at the state level or the federal level. So just to quickly kind of provide more info, it'll walk you through like putting in your email, phone number, send you a code, and then it'll have you put either like a 8-digit PIN number or 12-digit PIN number to access your account instead of a password, which I know 8 and 12 are sometimes odd numbers of digits for people. So you can do like a 4-digit PIN number twice or 3 times for some ideas. And then it'll have you get verified. And then to get verified, it'll have you scan a photo ID and then do a selfie scan to match that you are who your driver's license, you match your face, that you are who you say you are. And then sometimes, yeah, if you have an issue with that, you can, I'll drop my contact info in the chat too. Just let us know. We can help you through that. And then John actually had someone sign up through the website too, so you can give that a try too. That's a new feature. So yeah, either the app or through the website, it should direct you for the process for how to go through, get signed up, and get verified. And yeah, it's should only take like a minute or two, and then you should be good to go for all the bills. And yeah, John, thanks for bringing that up. It'll delete all your info. It actually just has you, once you're verified, it'll delete all your info, and then everything you do from there is anonymous. So it's a secret ballot too. So we can't even see how different people are voting. We're not even interested in knowing that. We just want to know overall what the voters want. So, and yeah, it uses the blockchain, yeah, unique token. Yeah, so we just know everyone's a verified voter. And yeah, if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. And I'll pause here before we get into the bills. If anyone has any questions, if you want to come off mute or have anything you want to share. And if not, yeah, you can definitely continue to ask questions throughout. And I think I'll jump to the tally map to kind of start through the bills. I'll show you guys the 2 different ways to go through and see the bills. So when you zoom in on Florida from this drop down on the tally page, that's where you can select state bills. And then you can view them by state house, state senate districts. And then all the bills are listed in here. So we started for the Florida state bills for 2026. We posted our first set October 4th. And then it's typically about maybe 6 bills or so in each set. So we'll jump into one of them here. And then I don't want to forget to show you the other way too. So from the first set, yeah, one of the bills was employee protections. And this bill, yeah, I'll try to summarize it shorter than our summary, stops agencies and contractors from taking negative actions against employees who report violations or unethical behaviors to the Commission on Ethics. And yeah, basically protecting people who report any ethics concerns. And so, and yeah, you can definitely hop in here on your own too and kind of dig more into the bills. So you can see, like, from here, the random district I selected, we had 1 voter support and oppose. And then for the state overall, this was, yeah, higher than I realized. 95% had supported. And then, yeah, you can see the raw totals there as well. And then the open states is where you can see, let's see, Don Gates was who sponsored this bill. And then, yeah, there won't be much down here. I mean, bills have been moving through committees, so you should see maybe that much. But the session, if you don't already know, I think it's either January 13th or 14th. That is when session actually starts. And then it's typically 2 months, usually. And yeah, and then the Kialo is on here too, the pros and cons. I'll pull that up real quick for this one. And again, yeah, you can jump in through the website and comment on pros and cons, or if you want to add your own, you can do that through the website. And so to show you like where you can see the organizational stances, this is kind of like the overview of the live bills, but you can also go back to the bills view page and then filter. Oh, I do want to mention too, while I'm here, you can also narrow down by different topics or categories and kind of narrow down by the bills that we've carried to see even the past ones, like which ones are related to that topic. And yeah, it'll provide that overview for those as well. So for the 2026 ones, we'll focus on those for the rest of this event. You can select the 2026 filter and the Florida filter, and we'll jump back into the one we were at, because I think this one, I was kind of surprised no one had shown up as taking a stance on that one. I kind of thought I might see some unions on that one. So, and this one too, it'll do our program will do a search, like a web search, to see who's taking stances. So that's kind of where these come from. But even like yourselves, if you guys know someone that wants to take a stance on a bill or one of your organizations, we can go through and manually add them too. And another feature I definitely don't want to forget to mention, because I've been using it a lot tonight. So some of the initial feedback we had gotten when we started was that some people didn't know enough about the bill, or felt like they didn't know enough about the bill to know how they wanted to vote. So this is VoteBot. This is kind of like my chat history from tonight, just asking extra questions. But you can ask any question about the bill. Let me see. Taking a stance on this bill, and it'll do like a search to provide you any answers. So you can continue to ask questions and it'll kind of narrow down. And it also, I do like that it'll provide like the citation, the reference for where that info came from. And I would expect it. It will say too, I should say, it does like a double check. Our founder has a background in AI, so we kind of check to see if anyone's any organization has mentioned the bill, but we are trying to be really careful to make sure we require that it's like an explicit, like this organization supports or opposes the bill for it to show up. So it'll kind of go through and make sure that it was explicit before it'll show up on here. So yeah, no publicly available information. So yeah, and it does a really good job of answering questions. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. And I should say too, when you're in the app and you're voting, you can pull up all this info on this page. There's info bubbles for each of the bills, so you can see like the open states, the link that provides like the status, the sponsor, the pros and cons, and then this page is where in that info bubble for the third, the abstain option is where you can see all the org stances and access this VoteBot too to be able to ask questions. So you can do it on the website or through the app. So yeah, that was one of the bills in our first set, and I'm gonna jump back from the bottom. So this bill I know has come up a couple years. Another effort this year to designate the American flamingo as Florida's official state bird and the Florida scrub jay as the official state songbird, and replacing the mockingbird. So there were some organizations. I thought this one was funny. Seminole High School Scrub Club. So yeah, some organizations came up for that one, and I'll try to pull up the results for each of these. This one's more so split, so 52% support. And yeah, you can dig through and see the different. I won't go into the detail for all of these, but yeah, for each of these bills, we'll provide like all this information, so you can dig more into those on your own too. And then let's see what else we got. Yeah, the sale and purchase of ivermectin. So would allow ivermectin to be sold and bought as an over-the-counter drug in Florida without needing a prescription or a doctor's consultation. And yeah, so if that's something that you support or oppose, you can add your vote in. So we got 67% oppose. And organizations, there are some organizations that oppose, American Medical Association. And let's see what else we got. Recognizing Judea and Samaria. So this one would establish that the areas known as Judea and Samaria, annexed by Israel from Jordan, should not be referred to as the West Bank in official Florida government materials. Prohibits state agencies from using this term, restricts funding for materials that do so. So yeah, I had asked VoteBot some about this bill, and I guess there was a federal bill proposed, and it said something about like Florida linking them with Israel is kind of the reasoning behind this bill. Because that's one of my favorite questions I like to ask is why was this bill filed, or can you provide more background, more context about this bill? And yeah, we had one organization support and one oppose, and keep it moving to the next one. And then I'll pause here in a second, and I like to get people's thoughts, feedback, if they have any thoughts about the bills too. So removal, storage, and cleanup of electric vehicles. Yeah, Tiffany, I just done some outreach to some environmental orgs and was curious because I'd seen that like no one had taken a stance on this bill. So this one would mandate counties and municipalities to set daily fees for storing electric vehicles involved in accidents with specific rules on storage safety, and defines daily administration fee, proper storage standards, and states that insurers aren't responsible for costs beyond their contracts. Towing can charge these fees as part of the process. So that one I had asked too, like, why is there a fee with electric vehicles and not regular vehicles? And it had said something about like because of the electric vehicles, I guess like it mentioned like a risk for fire, that there's more safety required with storing the electric vehicles. So I think there was an article that was referenced that popped up from VoteBot that said it would like increase the fees by 3 times. And yeah, so that's in there, and talking about like the I think it was the owner of the vehicle would have to pay the fee, and because wherever it gets stored, either from the government or like a towing agency, is where they be responsible for keeping those safety standards for the storage. So yeah, if you guys have opinions on there, definitely want to add your votes in. And let's see, we had 54% oppose this bill, 28% support. And yeah, so, and if you guys like with your organizations too, if you want to take a stance on there, just reach out to us and let us know. And I know I got one more in this set, and then I'll pause. So this one, use of substances affecting cognitive function, mandates toxicology screenings for individuals suspected of mass shootings or violent crimes to check for psychotropic and illicit drugs, requires medical examiners to document drug presence in autopsy reports, and calls for law enforcement officers and schools to receive training on the effects of these substances. Aims to improve identification and handling of individuals under the influence. So that one was, I thought, an interesting bill. And that one looks like supported by Citizens Commission on Human Rights and Florida National Organization for Women, Florida Now, opposed that bill. So that was one I was asking VoteBot about too. And I'll look at the results and then we'll see. Let's see, 78% support this bill and 14% oppose. So let me pause there. And if you guys have any questions about any of these bills so far, we can also try out VoteBot if you want me to ask any questions. And yeah, we got about 20 minutes left with about 10 or so bills left. So we're making pretty good time. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Maybe I missed something.
I can make this make less good time if you want to talk more about that.
Since John is on our team, I will restrict him to one question for now. John is definitely a policy wonk. And yeah, Tiffany or John, since you guys are not as familiar with Digital Democracy Project, let me know if you guys have a question. But John, do you want to, in the meantime, pick a bill to ask a question about?
So actually, not any bills that I see on here. There was one that I had caught the other day that Florida is passing a law that's banning obscuring license plates or something like that. And it seems to be this like really veiled way to are you familiar with what a flock camera is?
I don't think so.
So Florida is installing these things called flock cameras. and they are basically just like a dragnet type of mass surveillance, and they read your license plates, but they also take photos of your car and the passengers inside. And what they do is, even if you were to take your license plate off of your car, it creates a digital fingerprint of who owns the car, who you are, and everywhere you are at all times. And this guy, I think his name is Ben Jordan, he got his hands on a flock camera, and he got into it and figured out how it works. And he created this thing. It was sort of like a QR code, but it was only a few little dots, and you could put it over your license plate, which does not obscure seeing the license plate at all. Like if you got in a car accident, you can clearly and visibly read the license plate, but it puts a few dots in a few places, and it confuses the flock camera from being able to read your license plate and create that digital fingerprint on you. And then in response, it seems like Florida released this like more stringent law about being able to put anything on your license plate, and they made it like a class 3 misdemeanor, which is something akin to like a DUI almost. Yeah, and so it seems to be cover in order to stop you from defeating the flock camera system, which in my mind is an illegal surveillance technology. It's akin to a dragnet, and I don't think it should be legal. But I want to find the exact bill and send it to you and see if you want to carry it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you find it, let us know, like if it was just filed or if it's passed or something. Yeah, let me know that info. And John or Tiffany, you guys have any questions you want me to test VoteBot out on, or any comments, thoughts you'd like to share?
I guess the only thing that I was thinking, because I'm really new to this and I don't look at bills that much, although this is pretty interesting. With the EV bill, I was just because I was thinking that they want to make people not have EV vehicles. And would you ask the bot anything along those lines? I mean, are they trying to stop electric cars? I mean, is that, I don't know. Yeah, that would be that's what came to my mind.
I think there are a lot of people that are just against electric vehicles for some reason. They've made it part of their identity to just be against electric vehicles, which is weird because I don't know if you knew this, but we had electric vehicles back in like the early 19-teens and 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think this bill was interesting when I was reading about it too, because it seems to like have both sides of the environmental thing, where it's like we want to deter, I guess, like having the the waste, the trash of the electric vehicle. So that's, I guess, part of the reason for the fee. But then, so kind of environmental in a way like that, like keeping the environment clean. But then also, yeah, like
right.
From the
like oil and gas are clean, right?
Yeah, seriously.
No, to me, this is propaganda kind of stuff,
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I suspected some organizations would, why I expected there'd be more stances on it.
Well, that'll be a good one for me to go in and try to, work my way through the system. I'll go in and play.
Did you see Trump had modified the emission standards for car companies recently?
Nothing surprises me anymore, but
well, here's the interesting thing about it. So he lowered the expected miles per gallon for the vehicles. All right. So like if I think Obama had said in some standards that over time the miles per gallon expectation would go up, and it was going to be, I don't know, like 31 or 34 miles per gallon. But Donald Trump changed it so that it could be like 27 miles per gallon or something like that. But here's the crazy thing that he did that I don't think people are going to realize the ripple effect is that he removed the EV pool of cars from offsetting the truck and sports car pool of cars. So what the company had to do was show that their entire lineup had an average of 37 miles a gallon or something like that, which meant that when you have an EV that gets like 200 miles a gallon, essentially, then you could have a sports car that has 15 miles a gallon, and then the whole lineup would average out above the threshold of what was required by the law. But by removing the EV from the calculation and not allowing it to offset the rest of the pool, he's basically going to make it so that trucks and cars and gas-powered cars are going to be impossible to reach those fuel emissions targets.
Yeah,
So
I know.
then what happens? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say too, that's a good example of like where you can use this filter to narrow down by like environmental bills. Cause I know we had carried, if not that exact bill, something really close to that. So yeah, that's kind of where you can narrow down to see those. And then I wanted to bring this up again too. In the app, like when you go to vote on these bills, right now they're organized by the date that we had loaded them. So that's kind of where this tally map helps show you like where it is in the app when it was loaded. And then now that we have this ability to vote through the Votes web app, there is a search feature in there. So like if you wanted to look for a particular bill, you can search for like one of the words, the phrases, and the title. And it'll kind of help narrow down, show you where it is in the web app to be able to cast your vote. And then the Votes team is planning on adding that into the mobile voting app too at the end of the year. So then you'll have that search feature. But that's something I wanted to make a point for why they look like this on this page. And then the bills view page is kind of where they're singled out. So we'll get back into the other set, the second set of bills that we'd carried. Let's see, where did we leave off? Yeah, we did the employee protections first. So treatment of inmates. Establishes rights for inmates requiring correctional facilities to provide proper ventilation, adequate food during emergencies, and sufficient mealtime. Mandates medical supplies and personal protective equipment when necessary. Revises how permanently incapacitated inmate is defined for medical release. And yeah, this is where too, I hadn't pulled this up in a while. So where you can see like the sponsors, who's behind the bill. And then let me pop back over here. So the organizations, okay, kind of surprised no one took a stance on that one. And the results, let's see, we have, wow, 93% support the bill, 146 in support. And yeah, so I think I had heard some things about especially with the air conditioning, I know is the one thing that comes to mind that I had heard about with Florida kind of incarceration at one of those issues. So yeah, if you want to know more details, VoteBot can give you the scoop on that. John, are you able to admit that individual that just I got notified of?
I don't see it anymore.
Okay, let me pause for a second. I need to see if I can set this to auto admit. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Admit. Hello, Gary. Thanks for joining.
Oh, sorry for not making it here on time.
It's all right. We're actually recording, so I'll be able to send you the whole recording so you can catch up on what you missed.
Oh, good.
And yeah, if you want to drop in the chat any info, like if I don't know if you're familiar with us yet at all, but if you want to introduce yourself, you can drop that in the chat. And to catch you up, we did an overview about Digital Democracy Project, our resources, and we're currently going through the bills that we've posted for 2026 for the upcoming Florida state legislative session. So we got about 10 minutes left, so I'll probably pick up the pace a little on these last few bills. And then I'll try to leave time at the end too for questions. So I know like the League of Women Voters is one of the organizations that's been supportive of some of the stuff we've been doing. HB 253. John, if that's you, I'll check that afterwards. And
Yeah, you can do it later.
okay. And then, yeah, so the national popular vote, I probably won't get too far into that, but this bill proposes that states join a national agreement to elect the U.S. president through a popular vote versus the how the electoral college currently, that system, how that's currently set up. Each state would conduct a popular vote and appoint electors pledged to the national popular vote winner. So it's not like abolishing the electoral college, but it's changing who the electoral votes get assigned to. And then, yeah, there's the league I know is kind of affiliated, and one of the organizations that'll pop up on here too. Floridians for a National Popular Vote. Yeah, there's a whole organization behind it too. So that's an issue topic you can look more into that way too. And yeah, for Gary, since you had just hopped in here, I'll show you the resources we provide for each of these bills. So you can see the kind of the status of the bill, the sponsors, co-sponsors, and then once these bills start advancing, you'll be able to see like the history, vote history of any of these bills. And the Kialo will provide pros and cons. Individuals can add pros and cons or different comments to. And then the vote results for this one, we got 84% support this bill, 13% oppose. And then, yeah, you can see the breakdown for each Senate too, or for the state Senate districts too. And then, yeah, this is down here is where you'll be able to see the vote results for when the bill, if the bill gets voted on. And yeah, you can see all the information about these orgs and the more info about each one, the link to their websites on here too. And let's see, jump back to the next bill. So where are we at? Candidate qualification. This one requires anyone running for office in Florida to be a registered political party member or non-affiliated for 365 days before the election. And yeah, mandates written confirmation and subject to court challenges if they're not met. So yeah, that's one I know about, like candidates switching their party like right before they run or something like that, so that
I was
they
just going to ask that. So
Yeah.
that doesn't allow them to switch parties within a year of them running.
Yeah, and that's one too I was asking VoteBot a lot about, because that's another question I like to ask is like, how does this change how things currently are? And so this one also, yeah, didn't have any orgs supporting or opposing, and yeah, this one was pretty evenly split, so 46% support, 40% oppose.
So my rep changed from Dem to R like 6 weeks after the election.
Yeah,
Wow.
Is that
I
Miss
wonder-
Purcell?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
That was Purcell, yeah.
yeah, I would think there would be a law, like especially if there's this one, there would be laws for once they're elected and in office, kind of the same kind of
Well,
standard.
you would ask your bot, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, as I think about it, though, it wouldn't matter if they actually officially switched parties, as long as they just voted along party lines. It wouldn't matter. So if they got elected as a Democrat, then they wouldn't violate the law by not announcing they're a Republican, but they would just vote with Republicans on every bill and against Democrats on every other bill. It would effectively be the same thing, and they wouldn't be in violation of the law.
So they're going to pull a Fetterman.
Yeah, essentially. So, I'm not sure that legislation can fix this problem, right?
True.
yeah, I guess it wouldn't have any control over how they're voting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's regardless if the legislation exists, I don't think it's an addressable problem by legislation.
Mhm.
But a lot of people do just go down the line and say, "Oh, it's an R. I'll vote there," and that would be
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, people just do a down ballot, like a
Yeah.
full ticket right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
this
it
would
looks-
be a way to game the system.
Looks like there's no similar law in Florida for representatives who are already in office after the election. So, yeah, that'll kind of provide more detail. Only applies during the candidacy process. So, yeah, that is a good point. Oops, didn't mean to
Yeah,
go
we
back.
had the SD11 law election yesterday over here in Hernando County.
Oh, right.
Everybody I spoke to did not know either candidate. I mean, I knew Ralph Masulo from years ago back, and I know Ash from his last couple of elections. He attempted to run, but most people didn't know either name. They just went to the ballot polls and they just pulled the R or pulled the D. based
Right.
on who they're affiliated with. And most of the NPAs I know didn't even vote.
Mm,
Hmm.
that's sad to hear. Yeah, I know it happens. And then yeah, I'll kind of mention these bills and let you guys kind of look through them at the end since we're coming close to the hour. Charlie Kirk Day of Remembrance. This is kind of just making a day to honor Charlie Kirk. So that one, I'll pull up the results at least for these. So 153 oppose, 96%. And yeah, I kind of expected Turning Point USA to be listed on here, but from what you said, it
Yeah,
hadn't.
but Turning Point USA doesn't care about democracy. What do you?
And Sharia Act was another one. Restricts the use of Sharia and other foreign laws in state legal proceedings, aims to protect parties from rulings or contracts that apply foreign law violating rights guaranteed by the U.S. and state constitution, equal protections, freedom of religion. So I'd gotten some feedback from one of the organizations that took a stance on this one. Yeah, there's a few that oppose it. And it sounds like from what they were informing me that this kind of already exists. Like we don't have Sharia law. So it's kind of more of a, I don't know if I should say performative type of messaging bill, maybe more so.
Yeah, if we try to pass a law that violates the Constitution, the law gets overturned. So
about the
it
sixth
doesn't
time.
matter.
Yeah, it's about the sixth time that this particular bill has been filed in
Oh,
the
I
past
don't-
few years. Every year it's failed.
Huh.
Although
that one-
that 1205, I mean, we're in court with that one, and it's so far it's standing up. From what
What's
I
1205?
the HB 1205 that we did earlier, the
before you hopped on.
where we've lost our constitutional First Amendment right to petition our government.
I see. Oh, because they're like requiring training and licensing, and like they'll put you in jail if you're not, if you're collecting signatures or something.
It's
Yeah.
an awful lot of it makes it impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. It makes it. I was with the Right to Clean Water, and we collected 125,000 with $25,000. So that, and you can't do it just doesn't work unless you have like, I don't know, 10, 15 million dollars. So it's impossible. That's all. And they just made
Well-
it worse. They made it a lot worse.
They want the only speech to matter is, the speech that comes from billionaires, I guess.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that one had huge implications. I know that. And I'll just kind of mention these super quickly and then I'll let you guys dig in on your own too. So the sexual offenders and sexual predators, that one was about, strict residency restrictions, prohibiting them from living within 1,000 feet of like bodies of water. I guess adding more definitions of bodies of water. Suits against the government, increases the limits on state liability for claims, allows settlements without further legislative approval. And yeah, I know some of these can be a little wonky, so Votebot does really help. You can even ask it to like summarize it like in a different language, or not language, but like sometimes I'll say like summarize this at like an 8th grade or high school reading level or something just to get like the overview. But yeah, that one I think would like increase the restrictions for the amount of money the government would have to give you for negligent events. Civil liability, I know there's a lot of orgs behind that one. That one's been a repeat too. I can let you guys hop into that one more. And recovery of damages and medical negligence resulting in death. That was one about like youth that like not being able to get damages in certain situations. So yeah, that's another one Votebot can help out with. And yeah, lots of orgs on that one too. And the last one here, we got public record, municipal clerks, just protecting like judges more so from all of their like home addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, identifying info to be accessible like to the public. So yeah, those are the bills, and you can definitely jump on the website, kind of look through everything. And then, yeah, Gary, since you had hopped on late, you can check out the recording, but the Votes app is where you can go create your account, get verified, or through the Votes web browser, you can get verified on there. And then once you get verified, that's how you can add your votes in on all these bills, all the federal bills too, and it'll update on the website. And then I'll mention too, we'll have these events. We're actually having another one Monday, just kind of like a preparation before legislative session, giving 2 dates for people to be able to attend. So it'll be like the same overview and then the same bills. We might have another set in there by then, but we'll overview the bills and then if there's time, have some discussion questions. And then the next one will be in January before session, and then we'll have them about maybe every other week or so throughout session. So you guys can always attend again, kind of if you want to stay in the loop on new bills that we've posted, or if you know others that you'd like to think might be interested, definitely share the invite with them. And if you guys are with an organization and you think you'd be interested, your members would be interested in like learning more about our resources, how to weigh in on bills, then definitely reach out to me. I'll drop my info in the chat. And then even if your organization, if you'd like to take stances on bills, that's another thing we can kind of relay from organizations too. So there's my email, and I'll drop my phone number too. And then, yeah, the website's just digitaldemocracyproject.org. And yeah, I'll drop that in here too. So yeah, definitely recommend you check out the info. And yeah, John's got his info in there, his email. And then if you're not already in the Votes app, we definitely like for you to get in the Votes app, start adding your votes in. So gives voters more say, more power, influence on legislators and the legislation that's going on. They need to have some input from their voters to know what we want.
So how are the results of the voting presented to the legislators?
Yeah, right now we don't have like a process of directly sending them because it's continuously updating. So they'll always be changing. So the legislators can just go on here for any of the bills or the bills view page that we were just on. And I'll pull it up, a Florida bill real quick. And then they can just select their district. Oh, this one didn't load correctly. They can select their district and see how voters in their district are voting to kind of get that input. And then, of course, now my page is acting up. But yeah, that's also to where like the media, individuals like yourselves, you can relay the results to legislators. And we have a lot of organizations that meet with legislators. So that's kind of where they can also use these, like this reliable data when they're meeting with legislators to kind of relay the results that way too.
So there's no directly pipeline to the speaker's office.
There's not right now. Yeah, mostly because it's just changing every hour or so. But I think we'll also, something on our list of things we'd like to do is add a feature through our website where you can kind of directly email the legislator and have like an attachment of the results too. So I think that'll be a nice feature. And yeah, I definitely want to leave time. I can hang out if anyone else has any questions, or if you have questions about getting to the app or anything, just let me know.
For some reason, I was thinking that you guys help with cutting turf for phone banking. Do you do that at all?
Definitely not something we do. Not sure. Okay. Yeah, where that came from.
Yeah, I don't know either. Okay, no, because I know you didn't mention it, but this is very interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Good to hear. Thanks. Appreciate the feedback. And yeah, any other thoughts, comments, questions?
I'll probably be texting you or emailing you about a couple of thoughts I may have.
Okay, sounds cool. Yeah, I saw you dropped in the chat. You're with Suncoast Normal, co-host of the Rotation Podcast. I'll have to check out your podcast. I don't think I was familiar.
I tried looking it up, and I saw a couple that kind of popped up, but I wasn't sure which one you're affiliated with. Could you send me a link to your podcast?
Yeah, it's at Suncoast Normal, all one word. NORML, National Organization for Reformation of Marijuana Laws. And we come on every Sunday morning, although we're having on holiday hiatus right now. But we've got almost 7 years of shows. We have a lot of politicians who come on the show. I got Fentress Driscoll coming on mid-January, right after election starts, right after session starts, rather.
So is all of your discussion around the legalization of marijuana, or do you have like a really broad kind of policy?
It's a broad brush. We do politics, we do culture, we do journalism, we do history, we do science, and of course the business, unfortunately, is also an aspect of that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I found it. I dropped that in the chat for John or whoever. And yeah, Gary, too, if you guys have bills that you're watching for this session, I haven't heard much about any like cannabis related ones, but yeah, definitely relay those to us so we
Well,
can.
2 of the bills that I wrote have already been filed in the Senate by Senator Polsky, one of which is employee protections for medical patients, and the other one is the protection of parental rights for medical patients, because right now they can take your kids away just for having a medical card, even if you're medicating with it, and it makes you a much better parent.
Really?
And what it basically says is that the Department of Children and Families cannot remove your kids just for the sake that there's cannabis in the house that is being used medically.
Is this the bill that you were referencing? I think we had went over it before you hopped on.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, that's right. SB
92.
I didn't see 92. No, we're 130 and 136 SB from
Okay.
Polsky.
I'll have to look this up.
Yeah, that might be a different bill. It's not cannabis related, I don't think.
Yeah, it sounded like it was about like protecting people reporting like ethics violations.
Yeah, there is a bill that just came up that protects employers from liability if they fire an employee for medical use.
Okay.
Naturally, the majority was the one who filed that one.
Well, yeah, if you can send those to me, I'll definitely relay those to our team. And I may have lost some people already. Let me drop the link to our Slack channel. If you guys aren't familiar with Slack, it's kind of like a messaging platform where you can stay in touch with like what's going on with our organization and communicate with different people like on our team. And then we have different channels like for specifically relaying legislation. You can kind of just drop the link to any bills or anything you'd like to provide in there too. And then I'll include that in the follow-up email, but I'll drop it in the chat right now. But yeah, that's an option for anyone to be able to join too.
All right, very good. Yeah, we're looking to see also get some possible bills in regards to disability this year. We've tried again for a couple of years to get them to drop what is called special certificates that allows employers to hire people with disabilities for less than minimum wage. It's a federal law, and you can actually phase it out by state, but they haven't done it yet. I figured Perez would because he's got some skin in the game, but so far he's been holding back. So that's one of the things my wife and I are going to be pushing.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, if you want to pass those along, those do sound really interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'll send you guys all a follow-up email so you'll have my email address that way too. And again, we'll have another event on the 15th and then another one in January. So definitely feel free to join again. And does anyone have any last comments or questions before we wrap up?
No, just thanks so much.
Of course. Yeah, thank you
Hope
for
you sign
joining.
up.
And if you hear from her, thank you to Teresa Gamble because she told me about this.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, she's been really supportive. We appreciate that. One of the candidates that had endorsed. So
I just did an interview with her, actually. She's great.
Yeah, she is. She was on my show too.
oh, cool.
She can tell you
I
all about it.
agree. She's fabulous.
We got to get her over the top over Miss Daniels this time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, thank you
Nice
guys.
meeting you, Gary.
Yeah,
Thanks,
nice to meet
Thanks
you.
for
Gary.
coming, Tiffany and John.